Now that it's turning cold, it's time to get out your beef stew, and we're going to do a slow cooked one for you today. So here's what I do to save on washing up. You've got about 500 grams of diced beef, and then you have about 2 tablespoons of flour, and I just put it into the packet because I don't like washing up when I don't have to. So I'm going to mix that all in here just to coat the beef. And then most professional chefs, if not all of them, would say that you need to brown your meat first if you're doing a stew. And to be honest, they're probably right. But the whole point of a slow cooker for me is that, again, I don't have to do loads of washing up, so I just want it all in one place. So I've whacked it up to high, and so I will put this beef in now and just let it brown off while we cut up the rest of the vegetables to go in the stew. To be honest, it's not going to really properly brown, but you know, I'm trying to do it for the professional chefs, doing it for them. So we'll pop that in. So I've got it on high at the minute, just for the beef really. So we'll pop that in. And then, while that's browning off, we can prepare the vegetables. So we have got, into our beef stew, 4 carrots, and then I like to cut them into like batons, you know, for afterwards when it's cooked and it's easy for the children to hold. So I cut it into, so this 1 carrot would make 6 batons like this. So that's the carrots. So we're going to have 4 of them. Okay, 4 batons later, and it's time for the celery. So I've topped and tailed them, and now is just cutting them into batons again. Now if you've got one that's quite thick, sometimes I'll cut that one in half at the end there. So they're all a similar sort of shape. So that's the celery going in. So we've got carrots, celery, the beef, and then a crushed garlic clove. Just 1. And then we can season it as well. Check on the beef. Yeah, it's, you know, it's kind of changed colour this much, so it's not properly browned, but if you wanted to, you can brown them in a pan separately. So there we go, that's all in. So now I'm going to put in some black pepper, and then I think thyme is what you'd traditionally use in a beef stew, but I didn't have any, so I've got rosemary. About a teaspoon of rosemary and some parsley. Get about a teaspoon of that. You could put in mixed herbs. Then it's time for some more vegetables. So I would normally use 2 medium-sized onions, but this onion looked like it'd been on steroids, so it's massive. So I'm just going to use that 1. So again, it's just a rough cut on this. So what's going to be easy for the baby to hold, really. Chuck all that in, and then we've just got potatoes to go. So now the potatoes, again, it's just into chunky cut, because this is going to be on for about 6 hours, so it's got plenty of time to get all nice and soft. And lastly is a low salt stock cube to crumble over the top. And then the last thing we need to do is pour over some boiling water, and it's got to be enough to cover everything. You know what I've just realised? The hubby's come and made a brew and used up half my water. I'm going to have to put some more water on. Okay, bear with me a minute. I'm back from putting the kettle on, and I thought I might as well make myself a brew at the same time. So anyway, we're covering it just enough to make sure all the veggies are covered. And then we turn it down to low and leave it to do its thing for 6 whole hours. But after a couple of hours, you can add in, this is optional, but you can add in some dumplings. So I'll show you how to make those. Right, 2 hours in, and to make the dumplings, we've got 125 grams of self-raising flour. And then we're going to put in 62 grams of unsalted butter, but it's got to be cold from the fridge. And then it's rubbing it together. So a bit like you would maybe do with like an apple crumble, I guess. So you rub the butter into the flour. This may take me a minute. And then we're also going to add in about a tablespoon of cold water. And then, strangely, you have to mix it with a knife, like a normal kitchen knife, like table knife, and it'll make a little dough. Might as well cut something really pretty now while I do this. Right, finally, it's time to put in the tablespoon of cold water. And then we'll mix it up until it makes like a dough. It does take a while, this, but we're finally there. We've made like a doughy sort of consistency, as you can see. So now we just need to make it into like golf ball-y sort of shapes to put into the stew. And this is after about 2 hours, so they'll be in there for 4 hours and they'll soak up quite a bit of the water, but that's a good thing because slow cookers generally are quite moist. Right, let's whack them in. We could stir them in and they'll rise to the top. So that's it now. We'll leave it on low for 4 more hours and then it's time for the Weenies taste test.